Okay, let's do a little recap of what we did today and yesterday with these. All right, the first thing we did is and by the way, I'm Rick Zanotti with Tech Down Over. What did we do yesterday? We did some autofocus tracking, following, and seeing how it would do in a very controlled environment. It was not scientific. My lighting should have been consistent. It wasn't. But we tested the Canon EOS M5 and we tested the Panasonic GH5, which is shooting me right now. So the bottom line is that we were testing to see how autofocus tracking, face tracking, eye tracking, just tracking in general, and to see how it would work. On the EOS M5, I was actually rather disappointed with the results. Now, we were not using a native lens. We were using a Canon EOS, so actually a Canon EF 35mm L lens, f2.0. I'm not sure if the focus is the same when you are doing, or the tracking is the same on the M5 as it is with the native lenses. The only native lens I have is the 12 to 50 millimeter, I think something like that, which is a kit lens, and it's not a great lens. The glass is not great on it. You have to unlock it to even make it work. It's a bizarre lens. But I find that the quality of the pictures it takes is inferior. It just doesn't look that good. You have a beautiful 24.3 or 4 megapixel sensor with really poor lenses that they created. I don't know why they didn't just use the standard EF mount or EFS mount for the Canon M5. They could have easily done that. You have a crop anyway, so what would it matter? But they had to make a special line of lenses. I think there's 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6 or 7. I heard only one is good. I only have the one, so I can't tell if the other ones are any good or not. But I wasn't all that impressed with the kit lens, and you know, it's a kit lens. Some of them are good. This one, it shot video okay, but the quality of sharpness isn't there. That's a problem Canon has anyway, more often than not. The videos aren't as sharp as they could be. They tend to be very soft. But on the other hand, they have very good color. There's always that compromise. The EOS M5 tracking really disappointed me. Mind you, my lighting wasn't pristine. I had it from a little lower to a little bit higher. It didn't really track me that well. I had my wife help me a couple of times, and she could see the box on my face as I'm moving around. But everything in my background was better focused than I was. That's not good, especially if you're a blogger or a vidcaster or anything else. You don't want to be blurry while everything around you is sharp. It kind of goes against the grain of what blogging or video blogging is all about. Or frankly, if you're just doing video broadcasting and you have that as a camera that you want to use. For the price, which is about $1,100 for the camera, it cost about as much, if not more, than the 80D. I had an 80D and I sold it. It was good, but I got rid of it because I really wanted 2 SD cards. The more I thought about it, I go, it's a great camera, but I need 2 SD cards, or at least something with 2. We can't afford to go on a shoot and not have the correct set of cards or backup or anything else. It's a little risky. Yeah, I could put a recorder on it, and we have them. We've got some Atomos Ninjas, and I think we have a Samurai, plus we have the Assassin. But you know, that's one option, and I'm not sure if it recorded to a disc at the same time. The SD card, I am not sure. I don't think it did. So anyway, 80D was cute. I had a 7D Mark II. That was actually a much better camera than the 80D, or it just didn't have as good a dual pixel autofocus or as many features, but it was a good camera. I still think that if they came out with the 7D Mark III, like I talked about in the podcast, that would be a killer camera, especially if it did 4K, had a vari-angle screen, but I went over that. It was a rant on Canon. They're not going to listen. If they did, great. The Canon just didn't seem to have the firepower, the focusing power that I needed. I've seen some videos on the web that as long as the people are moving slowly, it can track okay. You move a little too fast, it loses it. So it's not really a fast camera, though it can shoot, 9 bursts per second, which isn't bad for a cheaper camera. A little slow for a fast mirrorless, But anyway, my results were soft, fuzzy almost all the time. Even when I was in perfect focus, it didn't seem to quite hold it. It seemed to kind of look around. I tried it with the Panasonic GH5 this morning and was much more impressed with the results of the GH5. And I'm not a Canon basher. I love Canon. I've had a lot of Canon cameras, still have a lot of Canon cameras, probably 10 altogether. A lot of camcorders, professional camcorders, and we also have the Canon XC10, which is a 2K camcorder slash camera. I have a 5DSR, which is the 50 megapixel medium format camera, which is a very good camera. I almost sold it, and I said, no, you know what? I do like it. It's a good camera. I sold my 7D Mark II and almost regret it because it was a really good fast camera. But no touch screen, no vari-angle makes it no-go, even though it did have 2 card slots, 1 compact flash, 2, and 1 SDXC card slot. The Panasonic is sharper. The lenses are sharper. I'm using a Panasonic right now, the 25mm Panasonic Leica Summilux, which is an f1.4, and it's nice. It's very bright. It's a fast lens, and it looks good. It's basically not a nifty 50. This is an expensive lens. It's about $700, and it is a very good 50mm lens. Is it as good as my Sigma 50? Probably not, but on this it works beautifully, and it doesn't really have bad imagery at all. It looks great. So anyway, the Panasonic GH5 is more built for video, which the M5 is not. It has video capabilities, but again, it's 1080p. This is 4K. I'm shooting right now 4K 60 frames a second. That's a huge difference. I was shooting 1080p 60 frames a second on the Canon, but it didn't look as good. This, even when it's not grabbing you perfectly, still looks sharper than that when you're perfectly grabbed. So I would say the GH5 did much, much better at the focus tracking. AFI face detection, which I'm on right now. It did really well on tracking, which is just general tracking. And it did very well on the 225-point autofocus, meaning almost the whole screen, I should say the whole sensor is being used to get focus. And that actually looked really good too. I think on the whole, the eye face focus or autofocus probably worked the best, but it was really a toss-up between the 225 and the eye face. Though, on the other hand, even the tracking was not bad. They were all pretty good. I did overexpose it, and that was my fault because I wasn't looking at, I didn't turn it to look at it. And to me, it looked like the eye slight was a little low, so I brought it up a bit. Now, right now, I'm basically lit like it was this morning. It's afternoon, but the amount of light coming in from the side window, which is almost parallel to the camera, is pretty good. It's not bad. It's very soft light. It looks like it's diffuse because we've had a very, should I say, cloudy day, overcast day. My eye light really is meant to just bring out the eyes a little bit because they do light up the eyes and makes you a little more alert looking, I guess. And the eye light's not all the way up right now. It's up probably a quarter. I had it up too high in my tests of the GH5 this morning. And when I saw it, I went, But it wasn't that bad. When I looked at it on my phone and I looked at it on the monitor I probably have too bright, so it looked a little burned out, but it looked sharp. And that was wide open at f1.4. Right now I'm at f2.8, so it's definitely stopped up, and it's a little sharper from what I could tell. If I went up to 4, it'd probably be the best for this lens. But frankly, at f1.4, it did well. If you're doing serious broadcasting or blogging work, I would go with the GH5 over the M5. The M5 has a nice little form factor. It's a small camera. It's cute. I actually do like it a lot. It's a great camera. I wish it could do more. I think the processor just isn't fast enough to do some of what you need, especially with tracking. You have a lot of options, but you don't have as many options as you do on the GH5. And again, the GH5 really is built for a higher level of video. It's got 4K, it's got 6K photo recording, it's got 422 color. It can do things that the Canon doesn't even do, barely does on their $10,000 and $14,000 cameras, and those are cinema cameras. So bang for the buck, you're going to get a lot more from a GH5 than you would from one of those other cameras. You could buy seven GH5s for one Canon C200 Mark II. That's a huge difference. Are you getting your money on the C200? I don't think so. I was the proud owner of a C100 Mark II for about 2 days. I sent it back. I did not like it. To me, it was, I don't want to grade everything I film. I don't have time for that. And frankly, I don't think I'm that good at color grade. I could probably get it okay, but really that takes a lot of time. And it's not worth it. Not for the kind of videos we do. We tend to do corporate interviews. We do corporate videos, some e-learning. You don't need super color grading for that. Some simple color correction usually is more than good enough. So anyway, the GH5 in the experiment we did yesterday and today came out really hands down a lot further, much better. I also had trouble seeing what I was doing with the Canon. I was deliberately not using the remote apps because I wanted to see what I could do without the app. What if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have any Wi-Fi or any 4G? Well, then you've got to kind of figure it out, and that's what I was doing, which is why my video wasn't pristine, because I really couldn't see what I was doing until it was done. I just had an approximation. So anyway, that's it for this. Those are just my impressions. If you have any feedback, or if you have other experiences with both either the GH5 or the Canon M5, let us know. Put it down in the comments area, and maybe we can start a little conversation on that. I've had a GH4 for 3.5 years. A lovely camera. I've had my GH5 for, what's been out, 2 months, I think. I've had it since it's come out. Actually, I had it pre-ordered, so I got it pretty close to when it came out. I also have 2 Fujifilm X-T2s, and they're good too, but I prefer the GH5. Ergonomics, and even though the colors are better on Fuji, I don't like the controls. My taste. Every camera is what feels good to you. And like everyone says, and I totally agree, not every camera is for everyone, nor can every camera do everything. They may do everything, but they may not do it well. Each camera has its strengths and weaknesses, and make the best with what you've got, or if you have more than one, enjoy it. And you're going to have preferences. And that doesn't mean you're a hater of other cameras or anything. No. It just means that you prefer a specific camera, and that's it. So anyway, for Tech Down Over and all of you guys, I hope you enjoyed what we did. It was really simple. Like I said, it wasn't anything scientific. It was just some quick tests to see how it reacted. We'll see you next time on Tech Down Over. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.